My name is Emily, and my life has been a roller coaster that few could truly understand. Growing up in the shadow of my sister Sandy was tough. She was the golden child, the one who our parents always bragged about at family gatherings. Smart, successful, and seemingly perfect. In their eyes, she was everything they desired in a child. I, on the other hand, was just there. An afterthought. A spare. It wasn't until they bluntly told me that they didn't need me anymore that I realized how superficial their love was. They explicitly said one genius child was enough and that I was merely a burden on their aspirations and resources. Can you imagine your own parents discarding you like an old toy? The day they kicked me out was the coldest day of February. I remember shivering not just from the cold but also from fear. I was only 12, far too young to fend for myself. Sandy, wrapped up in her world of books and accolades, barely glanced up as I gathered my meager belongings. Stepping out of that house, the only home I had ever known, I felt a deep sense of abandonment wash over me. It was then that my uncle found me, tears staining my face as I sat on the curb. He quietly put my backpack in his car and drove me away from the life I knew, saying very little but offering a new beginning. Adjusting to life with Uncle Joe was like discovering a new universe where kindness and compassion existed. His apartment was modest, cluttered but cozy, filled with books and plants that made it feel alive, so different from the sterile environment of my parents' house. Uncle Joe might not have had much, but he offered everything he had: a safe space, warm meals, and encouraging words. He never once referred to me as a failure. Instead, he constantly reminded me that my potential was boundless as long as I was willing to pursue it with heart and resilience. Switching to a public school was a reality check. I faced bullies and jeers for my secondhand clothes and outdated books. But these challenges only fueled my determination to rise above the circumstances. I found solace in the school library, where books became my escape. They introduced me to worlds where adversity led to triumph, inspiring me to dream beyond my immediate hardships. It was here, amidst the stacks of worn pages, that I began to write, initially as a form of escapism, then gradually as a craft I genuinely loved. As I grew older, the narrative of my life slowly shifted. I was no longer a castaway, but a promising student with a knack for writing. My articles and essays started gaining attention at school, and I eventually became the editor of the school newspaper. This role didn't just boost my confidence, it changed how others saw me. I was no longer just Sandy's less successful sister. I was Emily, the writer, the resilient soul who had something meaningful to say. High school graduation was a bittersweet symphony of triumph and nostalgia. Uncle Joe and I looked at the scholarships I had secured, one to a respected university for creative writing, and we knew things were about to change again. That acceptance letter wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a testament to my efforts, a defiance of the low expectations set by my parents. I was venturing into a future crafted by my own ambitions, far away from the shadows of disdain cast by my family. University life was transformative. It wasn't just about academics. It was a journey of self-discovery and assertion. I thrived in my literature classes, engaged in student life, and embraced every opportunity to expand my horizons. My sophomore year marked a milestone when I published a short story in a national magazine. The story, based on overcoming adversity through inner strength, struck a chord with many, earning me not just acclaim but a sense of accomplishment that was entirely my own. My last year of college brought unexpected news. Sandy, the sister I had both envied and loved from a distance, called me in tears. She revealed that our parents had made a grave error in their relentless pursuit of perfection. They had misjudged her abilities. Her IQ scores weren't as high as previously believed. Just like that, they disowned her too, unable to face their own flawed expectations. It was a harsh reminder of the conditional love they offered us. Sandy's breakdown on the phone tore at my heart. Despite our strained relationship, she was still my sister, the only other person who truly understood the coldness of our parents' ambition. I immediately told her to come and live with me. That evening, she arrived at my doorstep, her life packed into a suitcase, mirroring the day I was forced to leave our family home. Together, we started a new chapter, unsure of the future but certain that we would face it together. Integrating Sandy into my life meant adjusting my routines and priorities. We spent nights talking about our shared past, dissecting every painful memory and every moment of neglect. These conversations, though difficult, helped us forge a new bond, one that was built on mutual support rather than rivalry. We laughed, cried, and healed together. I encouraged her to explore her own interests at community college, free from the heavy expectations of our parents. After graduation, I secured a position at a publishing house. It wasn't the most prestigious job, but it was a start, a foothold in the industry I loved. Sandy and I moved into a better apartment, small, but filled with our dreams and ambitions. We lived simply, but every day was a step away from our past and a step toward our own defined future. Our life was modest, but filled with genuine contentment, a stark contrast to the conditional happiness of our childhood. Years after we had settled into our new lives, our parents reached out, their messages filled with remorse and pleas for reconciliation. They claimed to have changed, to have realized their mistakes. But Sandy and I had learned the hard way that some scars are too deep to heal with just words. We chose not to respond, focusing instead on our own paths, our own healing. We knew that not all family wounds are meant to be reopened. My first novel, inspired by our journey, was a critical success. It resonated with readers far and wide, touching on themes of familial estrangement and personal resilience. Writing it was therapeutic, a way to process my past and share our story of survival and defiance. The feedback from readers who saw their struggles reflected in our story was overwhelming and affirming. It confirmed that sharing our truth was not only beneficial for our own healing, but also for others. One chilly autumn evening, Sandy and I sat on our balcony, wrapped in cozy sweaters, watching the sunset and reflecting on everything we had endured. "Do you think we'll ever speak to them again?" she asked quietly. I pondered her question, considering the complexity of our emotions and the journey we had undertaken. "Maybe one day," I replied. "But it will be on our terms, and only if it feels right. Until then, we have each other, and that's more than enough." As the years passed, Sandy found her calling as a counselor, using her experiences to help others navigate the turbulent waters of family dynamics. I continued to write, each novel exploring new themes but always circling back to the concepts of resilience and redemption. Our lives were not defined by the pain we had experienced, but by the strength we had gathered and the love we had cultivated. Looking back on everything, I realized that being discarded by our parents was not the end, but the beginning of a true journey towards self-discovery and empowerment. It led me to find my voice, reclaim my life, and truly understand the meaning of family. Sandy and I were no longer just survivors. We were creators of our destiny, champions of our own stories, and forever bonded by the journey we shared. We had found our place in the world, and it was exactly where we were meant to be.